राहुल, शुड वी स्टार्ट?
हाँ जी, आई थिंक वी शुड। क्या
ठीक है। सेंटर फॉर पॉलिसी रिसर्च की ओर से आज की पुस्तक चर्चा में आप सभी का स्वागत है। द मेकर्स ऑफ मॉडर्न दलित हिस्ट्री, जिसके लेखक सुदर्शन रामचंद्रन आज हमारे बीच में हैं। गुरु प्रकाश पासवान जो आने वाले थे बट उनकी फ्लाइट में कुछ समस्या आ गई है, कैंसिल हो गई थी शायद, जिसकी वजह से वो आज के सम्मेलन में मौजूद नहीं है। ये इन दोनों लेखकों ने एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण किताब लिखी है जिसके बारे में हम आज बातचीत करेंगे। ये किताब दलित सामाजिक सुधारक एवं राजनीतिक चिंतकों की कहानियां हैं, और इन कहानियों को पढ़ के एक हमारे इतिहास में एक जो बहुत बड़ी चीज जिसकी खामी महसूस होती है, दलित सामाजिक सुधारकों और चिंतकों की के व्यू पॉइंट्स, के खुद के इतिहास, के खुद के हिस्ट्रीज, खुद के एक्सपीरियंसेस, जिससे उनकी इंटेलेक्चुअल ट्रैजेक्टरी बढ़ी, उसके बारे में इन्होंने लिखा है और उसके बारे में आज हम चर्चा करेंगे। मेरी तरफ से एक बहुत बड़ी गलती कि मैंने अभी तक किताब नहीं पढ़ी है, मगर ये आई होप कि इस चर्चा के बाद मैं इस किताब को जरूर पढ़ूंगी। बट जहां तक मेरी समझ में आया है कि जिस तरीके से लिखा गया है, ये किताब केवल हमारे जैसे लोगों के लिए नहीं है। इट्स ऑल्सो मेंट टू अपील टू यंगर ऑडियंसेस टू engage with the lives and times of many Dalit social reformers and intellectuals that have shaped the nature of Dalit politics, and more importantly, shape the nature of India's politics. The stories here are of many reform leaders who are known names: B.R. Ambedkar, Babu Jagjeevan Ram, Savitribai Phule, but also names that don't always come up in our intellectual discourses and are very, very crucial if we were to genuinely understand the evolution of our politics and our social histories for India today. So thank you very much to both authors for authoring this very important book and for making the time to join us. आज की चर्चा में इस किताब पर बातचीत करने के लिए मॉडरेटर हैं CPR के राहुल वर्मा, और जैसे मैंने कहा सुदर्शन रामचंद्रन जी हमारे साथ में हैं। उनके साथ कल्याणी जो JNU की से उन्होंने अपना PhD हाल ही में खत्म किया है, और अरविंद कुमार जो राजनीति विशेषज्ञ के रॉयल हॉलोवे लंदन कॉलेज में अपना PhD कर रहे हैं। Thank you very much to all of you for joining us and looking forward for this discussion. ये CPR के लिए भी एक बहुत जरूरी बातचीत है। राहुल और श्याम बाबू दोनों जो आज हमारे बीच में हैं, उन्होंने एक एडिटेड वॉल्यूम अभी निकाली है on the evolution of Dalit politics. So we hope that this is both a continuation and hopefully a start of more deeper dialogues on politics, history, and the social dialogue that is a part and parcel of the remaking and shaping of Dalit politics and society in India. Thank you, and over to you, Rahul.
शुक्रिया यामिनी, और सभी का इस चर्चा में जुड़ने के लिए शुक्रिया। आप सबने समय निकाला यहाँ आने के लिए। हम इस पुस्तक पे बात करेंगे और अगले 60 से 90 मिनट में हम क्या करेंगे कि पहले सुदर्शन इस पुस्तक के बारे में बताएंगे कि उन्होंने क्यों लिखा, क्यों कुछ नाम लिए, क्यों कुछ छोड़ दिए, इस किताब को लिखने की प्रक्रिया में उनकी इंटेलेक्चुअल थिंकिंग में क्या चेंजेस आए। इसके बाद कल्याणी और अरविंद इस पुस्तक के बारे में कमेंट करेंगे, और फाइनली श्याम बाबू एक सीनियर सिटीजन पर्सपेक्टिव रखेंगे, जो नॉट जस्ट ऑन दलित पॉलिटिक्स और दलित हिस्ट्री, बट इस पुस्तक को इस तरह से भी देखना चाहिए कि ये भारत के अपने इतिहास के बारे में भी कुछ कहने की कोशिश कर रहा है। और इनमें से कई ढेर सारे जो सामाजिक सुधारक और राजनीतिक चिंतन के लोग हैं, उन्होंने भारत की राजनीति को भी एक शेप दिया है। तो सबसे पहले मैं सुदर्शन को आमंत्रित करूंगा। आप सब एक और चीज सुदर्शन, एक लॉजिस्टिक चीज, सभी लोग अपना सवाल, हम लोग इंग्लिश में बात करेंगे, कुछ हिंदी कुछ इंग्लिश में। आपको जो भाषा जैसी जब लगे उसका इस्तेमाल करिए। भाषा बातचीत के बीच में रुकावट नहीं होगी। आप Q&A में अपने क्वेश्चंस आप लगातार डाल सकते हैं, और मुझे जब भी मौका मिलेगा मैं वहां से क्वेश्चन अपने पैनलिस्ट से पूछूंगा। और मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि जो मेरे पैनलिस्ट हैं मैं उन्हें थोड़ा प्रोवोक भी करूं कि वो सुदर्शन से थोड़े मुश्किल सवाल भी पूछे, और आप भी थोड़े मुश्किल सवाल सुदर्शन से पूछेगा। तो सुदर्शन, आपका स्वागत है CPR में और इस चर्चा में। थैंक यू।
Vanakkam, Rahul. First disclaimer, you'll have to excuse me, I can't speak in Hindi. I'm not as proficient as some of you. Gratitude to Yamini ma'am. It's an absolute inspiration to be on the platform of CPR discussing this book, albeit virtually. It's also inspiring to be in the presence of Shambabu sir. I just told him before we began, his book, Defying the Odds, Rise of Dalit Entrepreneurship, was and is an everyday reading for both Guru and me. It is also inspiring to be in the midst of young, forward-looking, knowledgeable panelists in Arvind and Kalyani. Thank you so much for taking time. On behalf of Guru, sincere apologies. We had everything in place, but his flight got rescheduled today, so inconvenience caused is regretted. Why makers of modern Dalit history? In psychology, we discussed why we do what we do. So way back, Guru and me met in Delhi in 2014. Obviously, when a South Indian comes to Delhi, there are some, frictions of being accepted in Delhi. But in Guru, I found a very dear friend who accepted me. Our conversations began on reservations, on how New Age Dalit is perceived, how do different communities perceive Dalits today. And these conversations were not formal, but very informal in nature. They say when there is a discussion, it is meant for understanding what is right. So whenever we used to discuss, we tried to come to this understanding of what is right. And then on April 14th, 2016, we wrote a column on Bharat Ratna Babasaheb Ambedkar for Millennium Post. And that was organically and positively accepted, read. And then we felt that every month for somebody's birth anniversary or death anniversary, we'll have to write an article. And this article could capture the early years of that particular individual, the breakout period where he or she had an impact, and today's contemporary context of that particular individual. We started writing, we started getting feedback. 1 month we wrote on K.R. Narayanan. On a month we wrote on Ayankali for Huffington Post. And there was positive feedback. That's when in 2017 end, we decided we should bring it out as a volume, as a book, expand the scope of research. Then coming to the book, 2018, we started writing it. The book is divided into 3 parts. One is the introduction, where we lay out what modern Dalit literature is, what is its genesis, where is it today. We look at the contemporary Dalit scenario in terms of the challenges confronting the community. We reason with the reader why we have selected these 18 past personalities and highlighted about 7 in the conclusion, 25 odd. Ours is in no way intended to say we restrict Dalit imagination to just these 25. And then finally, we bring out life lessons in the conclusion. To be honest, we didn't have an order in mind while we were writing, but we were fairly clear that we cannot imagine a makers of modern Dalit history without writing about India's first Dalit president. We cannot imagine a book without a book of this nature without writing about Kanshiram. We cannot imagine a book where lesser known personalities today. For example, this would be a unique volume where Janabai and Soyarabai are mentioned together. Soyarabai was Chokamela's wife, and they both played a very, very integral part in the Warkari movement. And we have also ensured that North, South, East, West is represented. We have spoken about a lesser known personality in Jogendranath Mandal. We often restrict him to just his resignation letter. We're trying to see what else was his contribution. Why did he choose to go to Pakistan? Why he came back, and why he must be a maker of modern Dalit history. And as Rahul rightly mentioned at the start, we want to bring back focus from incredible India to incredible Indians. We want to focus on these individuals and say there is a civilizational history to Dalits contributing to the making of the modern state that India is today. And this is a humble attempt. I feel very embarrassed to say that in front of stalwarts like Shyam Babu sir, because scholars like him have laid the foundation for us to even attempt writing on such subjects. And I will stop here. I'd want to listen from the young panelists, from Shyam sir himself, from Rahul, and from the audience who are present here today. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Rahul, you're muted. Sorry, कल्याणी आप शुरू करना चाहेंगी? और
Either way,
हाँ, आप शुरू करें. नहीं, आप please go ahead.
Okay. So firstly, I would like to begin by thanking Center for Policy Research, especially Rahul ji को मैं thank you बोलूँगी जिन्होंने invitation भेजा मुझे इस book का discussion करने के लिए. My special thanks to Shyam Babu sir for always guiding and having brilliant work at his desk so that young scholars like us can learn. And I also thank most importantly the writers of the book, to come up with I would say a comprehensive work discussing the modern Dalit history. So to begin with, I would say I finished reading the book and I found that the book is very well written. It's readable, it's in simple language, and it's pretty much understandable. So जो आज का चैलेंज है अगर हम दलित हिस्ट्री या दलित इतिहास का देखें तो सबसे चैलेंज ये आता है आवाज नहीं पहुंचती, लोगों तक आवाज नहीं पहुंचती. तो अगर हम सिंपल लैंग्वेज यूज करें तो वो अपने में एक बहुत बड़ा लैंडमार्क होता है कि जनता तक आवाज पहुंचे. So I think that way this book has done a commendable job in bringing a very lucid and simple way of writing the Dalit history. And the second most important thing I feel that this book has done is about engaging the discourse, the Dalit discourse itself. Because if we look into the contemporary practice of Dalit discourse, there is a lack of engagement with the word Dalit itself. So when we look into, for example, the post-colonial thoughts, the Dalit discourse is very much subsumed within that. So we come across Dalits, Shudras, and other marginalized community as a very homogenized whole, as subalterns. But who these subalterns are, what are their histories, what are the nuances through which these subalterns have come across, that specificity is missed out completely within a post-colonial discourse. So I think this book becomes a landmark that way as well, where it is engaging with Dalit history in terms of who Dalits were, who their icons are, their lived reality, their lived life world. So that way, it's very important to shift from a post-colonial imagination of subalterns to actually engaging with who Dalits were and how worlds are perceived as. The third most important thing I found in this book was engaging with women icons, which I think this book has done substantively. Particularly, I think starting from Muktabai, I mean, it starts from late 19th century to almost very contemporary times, Savitri Bai Phule and others. I mean, towards the conclusion, there are a lot of young women like Tina Dabi who are mentioned. So I think the good part of the book is it has given an extensive overview, I would say, about the women icons, which is worth appreciating. The other thing I think that the book has done in a nice way is the way in which it has taken up the multiple approach to engage with the icons. So for instance, in contemporary times, if we look into the way in which icons is engaged, it is very specific. I mean, there are some icons which this book mentions are completely missed out. As Rahul was saying in the beginning, Sorabai is not extensively discussed within the discursive engagement as such. Then I think Gurram Jeshua, which this book mentions, it's very important because such kind of engagement is missed out from the mainstream discursive engagement. I'm not saying there is no there is no work on them, but you know, they are more as oral narratives, and they're more into the as part of the memory rather than as a discursive engagement. So I think writing a book from Penguin up these icons it becomes super important. And also, I think by engaging with Gurram Jeshua, there is a Gandhian approach that is used, which is again interesting because within the Dalit history, this aspect of Gandhian, the engagement with Gandhians are completely missed out. So by engaging with Jagjeevan or Babu or Gurram Jeshua, these loopholes are actually bridged out. So at least we have an open space where the debates are laid open. So that is important. The other important thing I think this book does is about the biographical details, and which is done very minutely and in a good way. So for example, as Sudarshan was talking about in the beginning, that the book engages with the first Dalit president. So this is a very new engagement, because even like when we look into when we look into K.R. Narayan, he is just reduced as that he was the first Dalit president, but nowhere he is discussed like what is his biography, what were the challenges he faced. So these little nuances actually makes the book rich. So I begin with this positive note. And lastly, I would also like to mention about the icons like Udham Singh and several others that this book discusses. And it becomes important because some of these icons are discussed in works of Namish Rai and other Hindi authors. But when we look into the English authorship and the mainstream academic discourse, these icons are somewhere sidelined. So while Bhagat Singh is discussed a lot, but Udham Singh is not. So I think these are like the positive pitching in points for the book. However, I think there are limitations, and I very well think that, you know, it can be addressed by comprehensive discussion and, by engaging in depth more over a period of time, I think. So, for instance, I found that the book has inconsistencies of terminologies. So, for instance, when the authors have discussed about Ayankali, they have actually begin with the concept of subalterns, which is interesting. But you know, by the end of the same chapter, they come back to Dalit, the word Dalit. So, I mean, there are different histories to these terms and the way in which. So I think if these inconsistencies are addressed, that will be good for the larger discursive engagement with the book. Like, how do we position this book? Is it within the imagination of a post-colonial text, or is it a postmodern text where, you know, the icons from the marginalized are recentered from being decentered? So that is first thing I want to discuss about. Now, the other thing I think in Ayankali, the discussion of Ayankali itself, it's very interesting that the authors have pointed to the foreshadows, Ayankali as a foreshadow of Dr. Ambedkar. You know, and this is very important because we also need to know like who the predecessors of Baba Saheb were, and you know what kind of work they had. But somewhere I think there is a very selective choice of engaging with these icons. So in like there is discussion on Ayankali, but then there is no discussion on Jyotiba Phule. I think if there is a consistency of, and there is a rationality of who, which icon is used and with what rationale, then that would make it more comprehensible and more nuanced to an extent. And it's very interesting that missing, we cannot miss Jyotiba Phule from the as the maker of Dalit history, because the way he reimagines the entire myth and the myth making process and the dignity of the Shudras and the Ati Shudras, I think it's very important that we recenter him in the process of understanding modern Dalit history. And it's very interesting that the text is titled as modern. So like from which period do you consider the modern? So, I mean, if it is 18th and 19th century, then missing Jyotiba Phule is, I think, it needs to be thought over. So that is one thing. Now coming to another icon, Ravidas, Sant Guru Ravidas, as this book mentioned. This is very interesting because again, there is a discussion on modern Dalit history, but then it goes back to Bhakti traditions, which is fair enough because, going back to history, to medieval times, it actually gives a good linkages to the modern history itself. So, but it's good. But the problem is the way Guru Ravidas is explained. I think there is more emphasis on the spirituality of Guru Ravidas rather than rationality of Guru Ravidas. This is particularly important because when one looks into the history of Guru Ravidas, he in his Vani and his Dohas, in his Vani, he has specifically talked about irrationality, and he has specifically distanced himself from any form of superstition. So I would like to read one of the Doha of, one of the Vani of Guru Ravidas, where he says, Brahman mat pujiye, jo hove gunheen, pujiye charan chandal ke, jo hone gun praveen. So, I mean, I think this, in this two lines, it summarizes what Guru Ravidas always wanted. He, as a Bhakti saint, he was questioning irrationality. He was questioning the ill practices of the caste, and he did it vehemently. But somewhere, I think in discussion of Guru Ravidas, the element of this element of anti-caste stand and the element of I would say the questioning of irrationality is missed out. So I think if that can be addressed to, it will become more comprehensive. And the other thing, again, on page number 36, the text mentions that Guru Ravidas adopted Brahmin dressing and rituals, which is a misplaced fact because he vehemently, distanced himself from Brahminical practices at the outset. So this is a very strong statement which the text makes. So I think they can be rethinking over some of these things. Now, the other
Kalyani,
thing, yeah.
can I ask you to wrap up in a minute?
Okay, I'll take 2 minutes.
Please, 2 minutes, so that we get others also.
Okay, so I think
but at some point, Sudarshan should take detailed notes from you. Yeah. It seems that you have written about each of those chapters, but that's good. Thank you.
So yeah, again, coming to, since I have limited time, I'll cut short. So again, when you are discussing, very interestingly, you have brought the women figures like Sorabai, and how she is associated with Saint Chokha Mela. But then in your in-depth discussion about Sant Ravidas, you have completely missed the reference to Lona Chamarin, and she's a very powerful woman figure. And you know, the way Guru Ravidas transforms the life of Lona Chamarin. So I think again, the representation of women in the text doesn't have to be just the way in which we arrange the chapters, but it also has to be a very evolved thing, like how even the male Dalit icons were appreciative of the Dalit women. So Lona Chamarin can be an important figure for that matter. Now, again, about sobriquets I would like to discuss. जैसे आपने titles लिए हैं, रानी झलकारी बाई और अदर जैसे टाइटल्स आपने लिए हैं, उसके बारे में मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि ये काफी अच्छा है कि आपने एक सेंस ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट दिया है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं कुछ जैसे कांशीराम को आपने केवल कांशीराम मेंशन किया है, तो इफ इट वुड हैव बीन मान्यवर कांशीराम, there would have been consistency of the way in which you are using sobriquets. So if you can use Guru Ravidas, then why not Manevar Kanshiram? So I think these little nuances can be addressed. Now, lastly, there are several others, but lastly, I would like to talk about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So firstly, I think in this text, the reference to B.R. Ambedkar is interesting, but then there is an overt emphasis on secondary sources. So you are understanding Baba Sahab Ambedkar through the lens of Dhananjay Kheer, Mungrekar, or Bhagwan Das. There is a very little reference, only one text, Annihilation of Caste, is mentioned as the original text. So I think even if we make compendium of Dalit icons, it's very important that we refer to the original sources. Otherwise, facts can be misplaced and be misleading. The second thing about Dr. Ambedkar I would like to mention is there is a very selective reference to his work. So, and there is a jump. So in 1932, you mentioned about how he becomes part of the Legislative Council, but then you have completely erased that history of communal, separate electorates. So that is important, and I think that point becomes important because that is what he, distance makes him politically and philosophically different from many of the icons that existed then, like Gandhi or Nehru. And the last thing on Ambedkar, again, I would like to emphasize is you have completely erased the history of his conversion. It's interesting that you have mentioned about Buddhism of Baba Sahab, and you have mentioned it from the point of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and what he commented then on Buddhism, which he really appreciated. But then it's important to also look into why he converted into Buddhism, what were the nuances of Buddhism and things like that. So I think it's very important that when we engage with a very comprehensive text like modern Dalit history, we have to actually look into the weightage of each of these icons in a more comprehensive way. So lastly, I would like to just comment a little bit on conclusion. It's interesting again that you have talked about, you conclude.
Can we come back to you? बाकी लोग वरना फिर अरविंद बोलेगा कि मुझे कुछ बोल. हाँ, Arvind.
So I'll just conclude by saying that the book has the huge potential, but I think if the nuances and the in-depth engagement with the icons and the text is done, it will really do wonders to the Dalit discourse itself. So that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Kalyani, I had to intervene. हाँ, Arvind, how are you, sir? ठीक है आप?
हाँ, thank you.
सर, आपके पास घड़ी देख के 8 मिनट है. 5:40 पे मैं आपको.
तो बहुत कम समय है.
अरे तो क्या दिक्कत है?
Thank you inviting for this discussion. कल्याणी ने बहुत ढेर सारी जो है चीजें किताब के बारे में बता दिया है. जो अच्छी चीजें हैं वो उस पर बात हो ही चुकी है ओवरऑललेस. मैं जो है इसमें जो कुछ चीजें जो और इनकॉर्पोरेट होती तो शायद ये बुक एक अच्छी रीडेबल बुक हो जाती, बट अभी भी एक रीडेबल बुक है जो, क्योंकि 1 या 2 सीटिंग में कोई भी इसको चलते फिरते बैठ के पढ़ सकता है, ट्रेन में बैठ के पढ़ सकते हैं, लैंग्वेज लूसिड है और क्विकली पढ़ा जा सकता है, चैप्टर छोटे छोटे हैं। बट कुछ चीजें जो है जो किसी किताब के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती है, वो उनमें सबसे पहला इशू तो ऑफ कोर्स जो है selection of the icons, who are the icon who have been selected and who are the icon who have been rejected. So मेरे हिसाब से कि बाबू मंगूराम, स्वामी अच्युतानंद और ज्योतिबा फुले के बिना जो है दलित हिस्ट्री पर डिस्कशन करना बेमानी सा मुझको लगता है। एक जो पहला जो इशू है इसमें, उसमें प्रॉब्लम है कि जिस तरीके से मीन्स चैप्टर तो लिखा गया, बट उनको अरेंज किस तरीके से किया गया, क्योंकि वो किसी रीडर्स को या नॉर्मल रीडर को पढ़ने में हेल्प करता है, समझने में मदद करता है। अब अगर आप इसके कंटेंट्स को देखेंगे तो शुरू होता है अय्यन काली से और बिगिन होता है सेकंड नंबर पे क्विकली बाबू जगजीवन राम आ जाते हैं, और फिर जो है लास्ट में जाके B.R. अम्बेडकर पर खत्म होता है। मीन्स कोई क्रोनोलॉजी नहीं है जिससे कि कोई भी व्यक्ति बहुत कंफ्यूज होगा इस किताब को देखकर। सेकेंड थिंग ये है कि जब एक मीन्स चैप्टर तो मिस अरेंज है ही, विद इन चैप्टर्स ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे इंफॉर्मेशन जो है राइटर्स के पास जगह जगह से अलग अलग इंफॉर्मेशन थी और उनको इंफॉर्मेशन को जबरदस्ती पुट कर दिया गया है। मीन्स चैप्टर्स, विद इन चैप्टर्स में जो पैराग्राफ्स हैं वो पैराग्राफ्स एक दूसरे से हमेशा डायलॉग करते हुए नहीं दिखाई देते हैं। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल मैं बाबू जगजीवन राम मैंने ढेर सारा हाईलाइट किया, लेकिन अब चूंकि राहुल ने समय ही मेरा खत्म कर दिया तो मैं एक एग्जांपल दे के जो है एक एग्जांपल दूंगा क्विकली पढ़ के। दिस इज सेकंड लास्ट पैराग्राफ ऑन बाबू जगजीवन राम। ऑन Babuji's 108th birth anniversary, the government of India launched the Stand Up India scheme to support entrepreneurship among women and scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Organizations such as Dickey are even today working tirelessly for the emancipation of Dalit through economic entrepreneurship. मतलब मुझे ये पढ़ने के बाद ये समझ में नहीं आया कि बाबू जगजीवन राम से और डिक्की का जिक्र बाबू जगजीवन राम के बारे में डिस्कस करते हुए कहाँ जो है कहाँ तक उचित है। इस तरह के बहुत ढेर सारे n नंबर ऑफ इंसिडेंट्स हैं, नरेटिव्स हैं जो कि सुटेबल नहीं बैठते हैं अलग अलग जगहों पर चैप्टर्स में। सेकेंड चीज है कि राइटर्स जो है विभिन्न अलग चैप्टरों में लिटरेचर पर डिस्कस करते हैं और फिर अचानक से लिटरेचर से स्विच होके मूवमेंट पर चले जाते हैं या पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज का डिस्कशन करना शुरू कर देते हैं, जो कि मुझे स्लाइटली मीन्स लॉजिकल नहीं लगा ये चीज कि किसी तरीके से लॉजिकल हो। हाँ, मीन्स ऑथर्स ने बहुत ब्रिलियंटली जो है ये इस बुक का सबसे अच्छी बात होगी कि बहुत अच्छे से पोजीशन किया है कि व्हाट इज द सेंट्रल क्वेश्चन ऑफ द बुक, and one such central question is they ask that what is Dalit movement. So whether they are dealing with the question whether Dalit movement is basically it is makers of Dalit movement is a rebellious act in Indian society। हमारे यहाँ इसको बहुत अच्छे से कहा गया, हाँ ये देश तोड़ने वाला आंदोलन है या देश तोड़ने वाले लोग हैं जो इनसे जुड़े हुए हैं। वो बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर से लेकर तमाम अलग अलग लीडर्स के बारे में ये कहा जाता रहा है, लेकिन तो राइटर्स ने इस क्वेश्चन को बहुत प्रॉपरली हैंडल किया है। ओके, इसी तरीके से कुछ चैप्टर्स जो है, जैसे कुछ जगहों पर चैप्टर्स गुर्रम जोशवा पर चैप्टर्स है, बहुत लंबा जो है प्रोफेटिक लाइन से बिगिन होता है और बिना कोई रेफरेंस के और विदाउट एनी मीन्स इट कुड हैव जस्ट एक मिनट में जस्ट मैं वो भी लाइन पढ़ के सुना देता हूँ। दैट वुड बी मेक हाँ बिगिन अब नहीं आ रही है आपकी। Poetry is worthy expression of human emotion and the realities of the world. Poetry reveals more about communities and experience of the people, mainstream and marginalized alike, than any official narrative can ever do. मीन्स इस तरह के ढेर सारे क्लेम्स हैं जिसको काउंटर भी आर्ग्यू किया जा सकता है कि इसके काउंटर पॉइंट्स ऑफ व्यू हैं कि पोएट्री जो है, पोएट्री तो अरब में जमाने जाहिलिया जिसमें पोएट जो है केवल राजाओं के गुणगान किया करते थे, या इवन भारत में चंद्रवरदाई से लेकर मॉडर्न तमाम तरीके के इस तरह के राइटर्स हैं जो राजाओं, नेताओं और मीन्स के गुणगान पे लिखा गया, समाज का उनसे कहीं कोई जो है सरोकार नहीं है। तो इस तरह का मीन्स जब किसी राइटर के बारे में इंट्रोड्यूस, किसी मीन्स इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सनालिटी के बारे में इंट्रोड्यूस किया जा रहा है, तो मुझे लगता है कि इस तरह के लॉन्ग क्लेम्स से बचना चाहिए। नेक्स्ट मैं दो चैप्टर इंपॉर्टेंट, दो पर्सनालिटी पर जो चैप्टर लिखा गया उसको डिस्कस करूंगा। एक तो के.आर. नारायणन पर चैप्टर ब्रिलियंटली लिखा गया है, फैक्चुअल इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत अच्छे तरीके से प्लेस की गई हैं, लेकिन कुछ फैक्चुअल इंफॉर्मेशन जो कि रियली मीन्स के.आर. Narayanan was not simply a Dalit president. There are some other attribute which makes him a special president among all other presidents. So one such very good example is K.R. Narayanan is attributed to be a person who has led to the emergence of new institutionalism in India. And that new institutionalism is because of the kind of role he played as a president. मीन्स मुझे कोई और हिस्ट्री में एग्जांपल नहीं दिखा इंडियन प्रेसिडेंट में जब प्रेसिडेंट ने डिसेंट नोट प्रॉपर्ली लगाया हो कि कहा कि जो है राष्ट्रपति मीन्स देयर आर एलिजिबल शेड्यूल कास्ट एंड शेड्यूल ट्राइब एंड वीमेन कैंडिडेट्स हु कैन बी मेड एज जज इन सुप्रीम कोर्ट, बट कॉलेजियम इज नॉट कंसिडरिंग फॉर ऑल दोज नेम्स। मीन्स ये कोई मीन्स सामान्य सी घटना नहीं थी कि जिसको कि ऑथर्स ने जो है पूरी तरीके से कहीं कोई जिक्र नहीं है इस तरह की इंफॉर्मेशन का। ऐसे ही नारायण का वापस करना मीन्स बिहार लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली को भंग करने का एनडीए गवर्नमेंट का प्रस्ताव भी जो है, ये सारी चीजें कुछ ऐसी चीजें जिनको एट्रीब्यूट किया जाता है कि इंडिया में post 1990s has led to the emergence of new institutionalism, which includes the presidency, CAG, and election commission and human right commission and other many institutions. So ये तो जो है कुछ प्रेसिडेंट नारायणन के बारे में कुछ समस्या। नेक्स्ट इशू इज कि बुक क्लेम तो करती है कि हम मीन्स दलित स्टडीज में पार्टिसिपेट करना चाह रहे हैं, एक क्लेम है कि वी वांट टू बिकम पार्ट ऑफ दैट डिस्कोर्स, बट मुझे सफिशिएंटली जो है मैंने रेफरेंसेस देखे हैं और चैप्टर मोर और लेस लगभग सभी पढ़ा है, एक ही दो छूटा है। सो मुझे सफिशिएंटली जो ऑलरेडी दलित राइटिंग्स में लिखा गया है उससे डील करते हुए मीन्स उससे कहीं इंगेज करते हुए राइटर्स थोड़ा बचते हुए दिखते हैं। और फॉर एग्जांपल से बहुत अच्छी किताब है रीडिंग ऑन दलित आइडेंटिटी बाय स्वराज बसु, वो सब भी कंप्लीटली अवॉइडेड है। एक लास्ट चैप्टर जो मैं इट वुड बी लास्ट बट नॉट लीस्ट, मैं इसको डिस्कस करके जो है अपनी बात को खत्म करना चाहूंगा। ये चैप्टर है मान्यवर कांसीराम पर। मान्यवर कांसीराम पर जब हम चैप्टर पढ़ रहे हैं तो इसको मिस इसकी बिब्लियोग्राफी देखने बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है। 16 रेफरेंसेस जस्ट होल्ड ऑन एक मिनट। हाँ, ये चैप्टर जो है इसमें जहां से रेफरेंस लिया गया है A.R. अकेला की एक राइटिंग, वो भी है माननीय बहन कुमारी मायावती के स्पीचेस हैं। उसके बाद ऑथर्स नोट है बद्री नारायण। फिर नेक्स्ट है ऑल यू वांटेड टू नो अबाउट कांसीराम, कहीं से आर्टिकल है। देन बद्री नारायण, उसके बाद बद्री नारायण बद्री नारायण बद्री नारायण बद्री नारायण। आप कहीं भी पूरा चले जाएंगे, इसमें कांसीराम पर केवल और केवल एक उनका जो है एक टेक्स्ट चमचा एज डिस्कस किया गया है। बट अगर आप केवल ए आर अकेला को ही देखें तो ए आर अकेला ने कांसीराम के पूरे 12 वॉल्यूम पब्लिश किए हैं, 12 वॉल्यूम उनकी राइटिंग्स एंड स्पीचेस के ओरिजिनल पब्लिश किए हैं, और वो सब ऑन मार्केट में अवेलेबल हैं, 2-3 सालों से अवेलेबल है। कांसीराम के ऑप्रेस्ड इंडियन में जो पब्लिश आर्टिकल्स थे वो सारे आर्टिकल्स जो है पब्लिश हैं, और आज के 10-15-20 साल पहले से पब्लिश हैं। इसी तरीके से कांसीराम के बायोग्राफर्स में क्रिटिकल बायोग्राफर्स भी हैं, और जो जिन्होंने उनको बहुत ही हीरोइक वे में देखा है वो भी बायोग्राफर्स हैं। सो कमल भारती, खुद ए आर अकेला ने कुछ लिखा हुआ है, सतनाम सिंह ने लिखा है। अर्ली डेज में 1995 में अभय दुबे ने लिखा था, हमारे नेता टाइप की एक सीरीज पर किताब थी। लेकिन जब मैं कांसीराम पर देखता हूँ ये केवल इसी मीन्स इवन कल्याणी ने कुछ डिस्कशन अभी रिसेंटली इमर्ज कुछ उठा के जो है नए रिसर्च करके प्रिंट वगैरह में आर्टिकल्स पर डाला है सतनाम सिंह के साथ में, और इसी तरीके से बहुत ढेर सारे ऑथर्स हैं। मिस क्रिस्टोफ ने लिखा है, गेलॉम्बेट ने लिखा है कांसीराम पर। बट हाल फिलहाल में मैं ये देख रहा हूँ ये एक ट्रेंड है कि जो है पूरी तरीके से एक ऑथर का जो कहानी बता दिया है कि पता नहीं कितना सही कितना झूठ, उसको जो है उठा के बस उसी को एक तरीके से रिप्रोड्यूस कर देना है एवरी वर्जन में। मुझे लगता है कि ये सही एक्सरसाइज नहीं है। स्लाइटली जब मीन्स आप किसी इशू से डील कर रहे हो, बिकॉज इट इज एन हिस्टोरिक मूवमेंट फॉर यू व्हेन यू आर गोइंग टू कंट्रीब्यूट फॉर द लार्जर बेनिफिट ऑफ द सोसाइटी। सो स्लाइटली जो है इन सारे इश्यूज को कंसीडर करना चाहिए, और जिससे जिनके बारे में हम लिख रहे हैं कम से कम उसके साथ थोड़ा सा न्याय हो सके। थैंक यू एंड माय अपॉलॉजी फॉर टू बी वेरी हरेस।
नहीं, थैंक यू अरविंद, आप काफी आपने बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बातें उठाई। नाउ आई वुड लाइक श्याम बाबू टू इंटरवीन, एंड maybe आपसे like my request to you would be focus less on the contents of the book, but basically a big picture message. What this book basically like succeeds in doing. एक तो मतलब what they are doing is weaving a story from Valmiki and Ved Vyas to very contemporary Dalit political thinkers. So ek uspe, and I think what you think in terms of, because see, any book is a dialogue in process. Matlab Sudarshan and Guru would agree that this is not a complete history of like modern Dalit history. To write that, perhaps many more such books have to come. तो अगला जब सुदर्शन अपना वॉल्यूम 2 लिखे, 3 लिखे, 4 लिखे, या कल्याणी लिखे या अरविंद लिखे, who are the other people? कल्याणी ने 2-3 नाम लिए, पर कभी भी जब ऑथर्स when they are trying to select 10 or 15 names, इवन कल को कल्याणी अगर किताब लिखेंगी तो उनसे भी 4-5 नाम छूट जाएंगे, या अरविंद कोई चीज लिखेंगे तो people will be able to point out that this is missing. So I don't want to focus on the missing part, but what it does and what it, like the next future generation of people who work on such issues should reflect on.
Thank you, Rahul. First of all, in research, finding a topic nobody touched itself is a great thing. This is first of its kind, Sudarshan, and Guru is not here. Congratulations for doing this feat. There are two issues, broad issues I mentioned. One, Indians are known for being great engineers and scientists and all that. Even Hegel mentioned it. We don't write history one. We are very lousy biographers and autobiographers. And this book, I don't see it as a kind of biographical sketches. I think what you are doing is a kind of tracing out the intellectual lineage of Dalit movement. When Dalits come together, what are the names? What are the arguments they think of? So that explains why you have saints like Sant Raidas and contemporaries like K.R. Narayana. But having said that, let me tell you, both Arvind and Kalyani very ably mentioned all the shortcomings of the book. I don't need to add anything to that. But in Telugu, there's a saying. Roughly, what it means is your roti, the size of your roti depends on how much atta you put. A project of this kind, I'm sure probably you approached it without any funding. You needed to go to all those states. Guram Joshua, where you have to go? You have to go to Coastland. You have to have knowledge of Telugu and go into the archives, talk to his grandchildren. That's a huge project. You did not have that luxury. So most of your shortcomings are that nature. But what you have done here is you have given us the appetizer. Fair enough. As a young scholar, you started with an appetizer, but we will wait for the main course. You have stepped on a gold mine as a kind of a first venture. Fantastic job, a readable book, and well, you could have included Mayavati, or why not? I can keep on asking why and why not questions, but the spirit here is you have done something original, and we should be having more. Let me also caution you. This is a general problem in India. Our entire historiography is dominated by three heroes: Gandhi, Ambedkar, and Nehru. And we reduce everybody else to foot soldiers. People like Lala Lajpat Rai or so many names. We hardly have any good works on them. So please continue with this good work. But I have two questions for you. I don't know, I'm very intrigued, but I'm more interested. You suddenly mentioned two things. You talked about social psychology, why people do what they do. Just passing, but I don't think it is passing. Something is there in your head. You also talked about iconography. I would like you to just unpack those two. Congratulations, a great work. And I can jump the gun and tell you, Yamini is here and Rahul is here. Whenever you do any work, you are starting, especially in the initial phases, reach out to us. We can have these kind of brainstorming sessions, not necessarily physically. We can also have a Zoom session. We will be on your side. We'll discuss. And you can count on CPR for any kind of help. So Rahul, since you said that I'm the senior most, so I have the prerogative to say.
No, you are definitely. Yeah, I was just saying that in joke. You are, young and dynamic.
So you want to take care of my prerogative?
No, I don't. I said like, yeah, go ahead like that.
So I think that's it. Those are my basic points.
Okay. So let's do this. Anyone who has question, please put your question in Q&A box. Even if it's in shorthand, I will include and those questions. But before I take those questions, so please keep typing your questions. I want to give Sudarshan a chance to respond to any questions that he wants to respond, and anything which he wants to, leave it, feel free. Sudarshan, the floor is yours. You could ignore the questions and take questions.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's been with every book discussion that we have had, it's been a great learning and unlearning, and I'm so indebted to both Arvind ji as well as Kalyani ji that they took out time to read it in depth and offer their inputs, and goosebumps for me to hear from Shyambabu sir that it is a debut effort recognized by him is a real appreciation for us. Just to quickly add to, I think his first question or why we do what we do in terms of the book is, from our perspective, we are clear that one, we did notice, as pointed out by Kalyani as well, there is a gap, a loophole to be plugged in terms of just writing about these icons. If we look at 650 plus districts of India today, and even if we take out bare minimum one Dalit icon from these districts or even lesser, we look at an average of 600 icons. we need to bring out more and more such volumes that highlight these icons who are in the margins. For example, I come from Tamil Nadu. When it comes to social justice and social reform, there is one Periyar. We have not spoken about a Nandanar to whom Baba Sahib dedicated his first book on untouchables to. We have tried to profile him with great difficulty. I visited Chidambaram to find out, speak to people, how he inspires the populace still. So we have tried to bring, so plugging loophole is one from that writing perspective. Second, enabling social democracy in everyday living. Be it liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice. I just saw a news, again taking an example from Tamil Nadu, I just saw a news day before yesterday. In Madurai, it has taken 5 to 6 decades to even take the name of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Today, we have had Dalit communities entering temples. So he referred to temple entry movements as Satyagraha. So how do we ensure, even this morning, there was a news item on how certain players of the Indian women's hockey team have been subject to casteist slurs. I mean, horrific. After 7 decades of independence, we are looking ahead to 75 years of independence. We are looking ahead to 100 years of independence. Enabling social democracy in everyday life. And writing about them, we also live. You look at a Gurram Jashwa, you think what all he had to go through to reach where he reached. Padma Bhushan awardee is still struggling to even get to that mainstream. Why? So that is one. And second, on iconography, what was the second question, sir? If I can quickly do that and then we go to question.
It's about iconography. I think partly you had answered that question already. You very nicely put it, from incredible India to incredible Indians. That's the spirit, yes.
I think stories unite people. There would be Kalyani tomorrow writing, Sham sir will extend his work, Arvind ji will extend, Rahul himself will extend. We need to bring out these stories of incredible Indians so that people know, okay, India's history of the making of the modern state, there are these people also involved.
Okay. Do you want to respond to any of the questions that Arvind and Kalyani raised?
I don't think they were questions, they were honest observations, and fully take it. And we hope to pursue on the path of continuous and never-ending improvement, taking in all their all their inputs.
ठीक है. In that spirit, जो कल्याणी और अरविंद ने पूछा, क्योंकि इसमें से कई जो श्रोता हैं और ऑडियंस है, they are young scholars and
I know the content is, Rahul, the contentious bit would be why you missed out on X, Y,
no,
Z.
No. You have to trust me. I'm not going to ask you that. I'm basically, it's not about the selection. As a author, what Shyam Babu or Kalyani tried to mention now, basically you are also telling a story, right? Or when you tell a story, you also set the format and narrative of that story. So जब आपने बाबू जगजीवन राम के आगे जब बाबू लगाया तो वो चैप्टर 2 बन गया, राइट? पर आपने कांशीराम के आगे मान्यवर नहीं लगाया तो वो की से शुरू हो रहा है, राइट? सो बेसिकली, और ये हमेशा सोचना पड़ता है, स्पेशली व्हेन यू आर गोइंग टू राइट, मतलब आपने सिर्फ अगर कोई इसमें तो एक तो मैं आपसे जो पूछना चाहता हूँ वो कि इतने 15 नामों को आपने रिसर्च करा, ठीक है? इनमें से कुछ के बारे में फुल लेंथ बायोग्राफीज हैं और कुछ के बारे में नहीं है. कल को अगर कोई एक यंग रिसर्चर, आपको क्या लगता है कि किस व्यक्ति के बारे में सबसे पहले एक फुल लेंथ बायोग्राफी लिखी जानी चाहिए? मेरा पहला सवाल ये है. दूसरा, एंड श्याम बाबू ने जो कहा है, एंड आई वांट टू पिक अप ऑन दिस, एंड व्हिच इज वेरी ट्रू. इंडिया में एक्चुअली वी हैव नॉट बीन डूइंग ग्रेट जॉब ऑन बायोग्राफीज, नॉट ऑफ जस्ट सोशल थिंकर्स. हम अपने पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स के बारे में डिटेल बायोग्राफी नहीं करते. इनफैक्ट नॉट जस्ट इन इंडिया में, एक्चुअली ये पॉलिटिकल साइंस की प्रॉब्लम है कि पॉलिटिकल साइंस लीडरशिप को नहीं पढ़ता है, एंड दे आर बेसिकली मेकर्स ऑफ हिस्ट्री, राइट? तो किसके बारे में बायोग्राफी लिखी जानी चाहिए, मैं ये जानना चाहूंगा। मतलब बी आर अम्बेडकर के बारे में तो बहुत लिखते हैं, पर जिनके बारे में नहीं लिखी गई।
I would opt for, since I come from South India, between Ayankali and Guram Joshua. These are two fascinating people who have done, I mean, who for Ayankali, during the course of our research, we also saw and read that some of his extended family members do not want him to be remembered or written about. We have also referenced that. So Ayankali, like Kalyani said, he foreshadowed much of what Ambedkar actually spoke about and enforced upon in the Constituent Assembly. And I know people from Kerala would refer to Narayana Guru first, and there's absolutely no taking away anything from Narayana Guru. But again, when we wrote about Ayankali, a very short column, and then we expanded it in the volume, again, people wanted to know more about him. And it took us a lot of effort to find out one. On the women, definitely Soyarabai. In fact, Rahul, we had to cull out details from a book on Choka Mela for Soyarabai. Now, that is the travesty. A woman who was a strong support structure for Choka Mela, why we don't have a proper biography on her? So my choice is between two men and two women, if you ask me, and this is purely personal and it comes off instinctively. One is Ayankali or Guram Joshua, and between the women, Janabai or Soyarabai.
ठीक है, Arvind, if you want to add something quickly, you had your raised hand. And एक और चीज, Ilika, if you can make me co-host so I can get some people in, because I know they might want to speak.
राहुल, चैप्टर्स जो हैं बुक के वो अल्फाबेटिकली नहीं अरेंज हैं। अल्फाबेटिकली अरेंज होते तो अम्बेडकर, बी आर अम्बेडकर पहले आते। यही मुझे ऐड करना था। और एक चीज मतलब जो क्वेश्चन मैंने रेज किए हैं मींस व्हाइल डीलिंग विद द मींस डिफरेंट थिंकर, द क्वेश्चन इज नॉट अबाउट मींस राइटिंग पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ द थिंकर्स about whom very less has been written, towards which Professor Babu pointed out. My question was for not dealing with the literatures which are already available in the market in terms of secondary literature and even YouTube lectures.
ठीक है, Amit, so Professor Amit Ahuja wakes up early in the morning in US to listen to you, Sudarshan. So Amit, I have given you
senior most is Sham sir, to listen to Sham sir, you must say.
So Amit, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Ji sir.
Okay, thank you. So first, a big congratulations on producing the book to Sudarshan, and just to all the people who've commented, this is, it's morning from where I'm calling, and it's completely made my morning. It's been a fascinating discussion. I have just 2 points to add to broaden the discussion. Just listening to the comments, 2 things struck me, and one goes back to, in fact, both go back to what Sham Babu had said. The discussion of icons, the reason this book is such a major contribution is because it retrieves important Dalit histories and icon histories. But when we think about the icon, the one thing that I discovered, and something I still grapple with when it comes to my own work, is that we read about people as historical icons through books, through other things that in the media. But when you go on the ground, some of these icons, you realize that we underestimated their power, and in other cases we realize that we've overestimated their popularity. So if you continue on this path, there are other people who are listening, you know, it would be really nice to see how these icons have lived, evolved, their stories have lived and evolved, and how widely popular they are. And in doing so, I think it would be important also to see what role the state has played in popularization of these icons. Where the state has embraced them, you find that that icon is, that their popularity is no longer confined to just a district or part of a district, but it becomes, you know, they can become a statewide or sometimes even a national icon. This is not true for everybody, of course, but you know, it's something that sort of struck me when I was looking at icons and how they're understood and how they're remembered. And I just want to very quickly give you an example of, think about the Prerna Kendra that's in Lucknow, and you know, who sits there, who's, you know, who's represented among the icons there, and then think about all the people who are not there. The second point, and I'll finish it after this, is, you know, Shyam Babu said, asked us to think about icons, and that sort of leads us also think about, where do today's icons come from? I mean, of course, these are important figures. They're revered for a very good reason. But, you know, a lot of times we also turn to those who are more contemporary to us as icons. And so it's important to ask, where are today's Dalit icons coming from? Why are they only, why is politics the only place? Of course, the spaces are being broadened, but why not more Dalit icons from other walks of life? And that's something that we just need to state again and again to bring out the point as to why, so there's all these debates about reservation, about representation, but you know, if things were really working as they should be, then we should have Dalit icons emerging from every walk of life, and that's not true. And just in closing, this is why I think it's really worth going back to, you know, I look at, when I read Shyam Babu's book on Dalit entrepreneurs, you know, when I picked up the book and I was reading it, that's the one thing that sort of struck me. It is like, you know, that's a story of the everyday heroes among Dalits. Stories that are not heard of and stories that need to be told. And discovering these everyday icons is also as important as sort of writing about and thinking through the thoughts and ideas of historical icons. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. Before I bring in my panelist, I also want to flag one more question so people can respond to that. Harish Damodaran has asked a question, which is, you know, basically in last 30, 40 years, we have seen 3 silent revolutions. First one was political, which basically brought regional parties and coalition governments or OBC Dalit communities in politics. Second one was basically increasing assertion of, increasing assertion of Mandal and Dalit communities. The third one was rise of new capital and regional businessmen and non-Banya communities. His question is, are we seeing a silent counter-revolution on all these fronts? Basically, regional assertion, the caste assertion, and non-Brahmin Banya assertion in last 6 to 7 years. So first I'll get Shyam Babu, then Kalyani, then Arvind, and then Sudarshan. Each of you have at max 180 seconds. Take more time.
As for counter-revolution, yes, what is happening is the counter-revolution. Counter-revolution not just against the 3 revolutions Harish talked about. This counter-revolution has been in making for decades. It's against modernity, a colonial modernity, let me qualify that. So I absolutely agree with him. But I have one point to make. You know, Amit, thank you very much. Your intervention reminded me of, I want to rephrase what you said. There is too much obsession in India with things political. and we don't focus on social aspects. What this book does exactly that. It focuses more on social aspects than political aspects. We need more of this kind of work.
Arvind, and then Kalyani, and then Sudarshan. Arvind, mute hai aap.
Yeah, it means when you are discussing, saying that there are certain movements which has happened in post-independence India, I would say that without, there should be incorporation of anti-Jamidari movement and anti-Gaundari movement and even anti-Begari movement which happened in Awadh and eastern Uttar Pradesh prior to the movements which Harish is mentioning. In that line, actually, I do not see means it is a kind of counter to those movements, but the new kind of movements which are emerging is basically the movement of those communities and castes which were left out from the claims and assertion of previous movements. One very good book is by John D. Hoover, in which he makes argument that we live societies like ours. People have multiple identities, and some identities are helpful for some castes and communities, and same kind of identity would not be helpful for other caste and communities. For example, I would say that in case of Uttar Pradesh, Chamars are highest in number in terms of their population in scheduled caste as well as in general population as per 1931 census. So any claim which would be made on the name of caste identity, of course, among all scheduled caste, of course, Chamars are going to be largest beneficiary of such claims, but not other caste as well, who are numerically smaller in number, as well as some are in insignificant number. For example, Musa or even other castes. So for those castes who can't gain their fair share by claiming through existing identity, of course, after certain point of time, they try to look to some new identity in which they can maximize their share, or every human being is a rational human being, and maximization of share is one demand. So those kind of claims which different communities and castes are making, it should not be seen as a counter revolution, but it should be seen as an outcome how politics unfolds after certain point of time.
No, thank you, Arvind. That was a very important point you make. Kalyani, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, I missed some of the discussion, so pardon me if I repeat. But I just want to comment on three things. Firstly, I really like the point with Professor Amit Ahuja raised about iconography. I think the book, like the makers of modern Dalit history, if it is dealing with icons, it has to establish theoretically through what vantage point you are looking into the icons. And it's very interesting, like Amit was saying, that when we look into Dalit icons and Dalit history, as you yourself said, like there are more than 650 districts, and there are thousands and thousands of icons. But then if eventually we want to conceptualize and understand, how do we make sense of the icons? So I would like to hear briefly talk about or mention about Paul Ricoeur and how he talks about the memory. So how in the conceptualization of icons and in unveiling of the iconography, which your book has very successfully done, how do you use the concepts of memory? So that is first thing. I think that can be engaged with in your future writing. And the second thing I think was very importantly raised by Professor Shyam Babu, as well as in some parts by Arvind, about chronology and history. It's very specifically, your title has mentioned about modern Dalit history. So where do you locate modernity, and what is modern? So I think some of these conceptual discussion, if it's positioned in the book, it can make a claim for a discourse. Otherwise, people have been talking about icons, but there has been no discursive engagement as such. Probably the lack is about an in-depth engagement and a conceptual evolvement of some of these categories like icons and modern history and modern Dalit history. And lastly, to the point of Rahul Verma, I would very quickly respond to what counter-revolution means. I think the book has the potential to unveil what counter-revolution means, because I think many of the icons that you've discussed in your book are actually, it's about revivalism, and it's about, questioning the sense of history that and claiming the sense of belongingness. So I think it's very important if you can channelize counter-revolution and theoretically engage with some of these categories. And towards the conclusion, like when you have largely pointed to the upper urban middle class Dalits, instead it would be great if you can conceptually engage with who, to the question which you began with, who becomes why they become. So I think that would be a great way to move ahead with. And I look forward for more volumes and more compendium to this, so that there are more icons and more histories that can be added. But I would specifically say, like, focusing about oral history and oral narratives, and conceptually evolving theoretical paradigms around it to make the Dalit discourse moving as such. So thank you.
So Sudarshan, basically, before I bring you in, I'll just add something. When Kalyani was talking, so mujhe strike kara, and because there are some young students, I just wanted to also address them. See, and don't mind me when I'm going to say this. अगर इस किताब का टाइटल होता 15 icons of Dalit history, ठीक है, तो कल्याणी और अरविंद ने ढेर सारे जो सवाल उठाए ना, उसका मतलब कि वो सवाल कम होते। एक्चुअली जो आपने टाइटल लिया और जो आपने इंट्रोडक्शन में, मतलब यू क्लेम सो बिग दैट, एंड व्हाट यू डिलीवर्ड इन द चैप्टर ना, उसमें गैप बहुत रह गया। और उस गैप में मतलब आपने जो टाइटल था वो बेसिकली क्रिकेट के एनालॉजी में आपने फर्स्ट बॉल पे 6 मारा, ठीक है, और फिर इसके बाद आप मतलब रन भी नहीं ले रहे हो, आप गैप छोड़ रहे हो। तो इस वजह से कि हिस्ट्री का क्या मतलब, मॉडर्न का क्या मतलब हुआ, ये दलित स्टडीज से कैसे रिलेटेड है, ये आपने क्यों, सो व्हाट बेसिकली, मतलब ये एकेडमिक राइटिंग में एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज होती है कि you don't say extra than you have evidence for. So I just wanted to make that comment. Now, please.
Yeah, these aspects we have tried to address in the introduction. See, one of the reasons our introduction is very elaborate, close to 40 pages, is to precisely address these aspects and to also reason with the reader why we have selected this. And to the point of how do you define modern? Yes, Dalit Panthers' movement towards Dalit literature is significant. We have quoted how Baba Sahib said that when Hindus wanted a Ramayana, they came to a non-upper caste person. When Hindus wanted a Mahabharata, they came to a non-upper caste. And when they wanted a constitution, they came to a Dalit as well. So we wanted to widen the sweep of Dalit literature and say, look, here is also an important aspect of Indian literature, which is steered by Dalits. And yet, Dalit Panthers also enabled it in a very significant way, and it is where it is, number one. Number two, on your point, like I said, we have attempted to answer this very points that you raised in the introduction as well. We have detailed into what is modern Dalit literature, why we are bringing in these names. Third, on Amit sir's point, on some, he did raise one pertinent point that some contemporary people are often missed out. So, sir, in the conclusion, we have tried to highlight certain, as Kalyani said, certain contemporary personalities who take inspiration from some of these past people. For example, the direct reference is to, let us say, Meera Kumar, who is the daughter of Babu Jagjeevan Ram. We highlight a Radhika Gill, who comes from a Valmiki community, again, often less known, but she played an important role in Jammu and Kashmir. We speak about Sanjay Paswan, who is probably inspired by Kabir Das. We bring out a Milind Kamble, who is inspired by Ambedkar in order to, there was counter-revolution points. His one mantra is to fight caste with capital. So in the conclusion, we have tried to bring out that from the past, we're trying to make sense of the present with these people. So I think it's not missed out. One has to make the conscious attempt to look, rather locate these people and then write about them.
Okay. So Medha, if you want to ask your question, please ask. And after that, Rahul Tiwari. But Medha, keep it short. The question should be very precise, 60 seconds.
Yeah, sure. First of all, good evening to all the panelists. It was an amazing discussion. It was very informative. But as a high school student, I am new to Dalit history. So will this book be a good start if I want to start to study more about Dalit history and the icons which you have mentioned? So will this could be for a beginner? As Kalyani ma'am mentioned, it's very lucid. So if you could please elaborate on that. Thank you, sir.
Oh, Sudarshan doesn't need to answer that. Yes, please buy the book. Ask also your friends to buy the book and read it.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Rahul Tiwari, please keep your question brief, but go ahead, or comment, whatever.
Thank you all. Actually, this is not my question. Basically, as I had told you that I wanted to raise a point to discuss. As this the book is on, my point is not relevant with the book which you are discussing now. My view, actually my question or my
सर भूमिका में मत समय लगाइए.
हाँ, मैं ये बता रहा हूँ कि सर ये हम लोग दलित और ये जो कर रहे हैं, तो क्या प्लीज बता सकते हैं कि दलित है क्यों हम लोग? क्योंकि अगर आप बोलते हैं कि दलित क्यों है, कि हमें डिस्क्रिमिनेशन था, सोसाइटी में डिस्क्रिमिनेशन था, कुछ सवर्ण बन गए, सम बिकम आगे, सम बिकम फॉरवर्ड क्लास, सम बिकम बैकवर्ड क्लास एंड डिस्टेंट। बट हमारे वो उसका बेसिस भी आप बोलेंगे कि रिलीजन था, धर्म था, बुक था, राइट? तो
सर राहुल भाई, अगर आपको सब पता है तो फिर ना, मतलब आप या तो कमेंट करें या तो क्वेश्चन करें जिससे लोग रिस्पॉन्ड कर सके ना। मतलब अगर आपको पता है तो फिर हम क्या कह सकते हैं उसमें?
नहीं, मैं पता नहीं है, मैं ये चीज आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि फिर अगर जैसे अभी आप लोग बात कर रहे हैं कि कास्ट का, तो कास्ट तो हमारे बुक्स में तो था ही नहीं, और जो भी कास्ट है वो बाय बर्थ तो है ही नहीं। वाल्मीकि जी का जैसे अभी आपने बात कर रहे थे, वाल्मीकि जी ये अभी महाभारत के जो ऑथर थे उनकी जो बात कर रहे थे, तो वो तो बाय बर्थ वो कहीं से भी होंगे, बट आफ्टर अटेनिंग दैट नॉलेज दे हैड बिकम ब्राह्मण। वो वर्ण तो चेंजेबल था, वर्ण बाय बर्थ नहीं होता है। दैट वाज नॉट कास्ट, दैट वाज वर्ण।
ठीक है, थैंक यू राहुल। Is there anyone else who wants to ask a question? So then I will get panelists to respond to Rahul as well as to others.
Amit still raised his hand.
Amit, do you still have a question to ask? This is
Rahul. I'm so sorry. I should have brought that thing. Yeah, I don't have a question.
But do you want to add anything, since you like आप 4 बजे सुबह उठ के ऐसी टॉक सुन रहे हैं, तो आपको 1 मिनट एक्स्ट्रा?
नहीं, it's a real privilege. Thank you for actually organizing this. This is all I want to do is buy this book and read it. But no, I thank you for some absolutely excellent discussion.
Great. So now what we will do is basically I'll give 1 minute to each of my panelists to make the closing remark, and we will start with Kalyani, then Arvind, then Sudarshan, and finally to Shyam Babu, the sage person.
I would just like to conclude by saying that I think the book has a lot of potential, particularly the way the title goes, Makers of the Modern Dalit History. This title, and it's very challenging, and it has not been worked so much. So I think it's very important to start with. However, it's also important that we look into the works which has already gone into the Dalit studies. So your work, for instance, should refer to Dalit studies by K. Satyanarayana and many other relevant works which have been there. So I think if the book can make discursive engagement only when it is positioned in a particular context, and there is a chronological arrangement to the book. So, but I see a lot of potential, and I hope the book will evolve more and come out with further editions, things like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalyani. Arvind? Arvind, आप mute हैं.
Yeah, thank you, Miss. Last comment is that book is really nice, meticulously written. So I would request listeners to buy this book. But along with that, those who would be reading this book should be a beginning, and it should not be an end. Like Miss, one can't assume that. One cannot assume that this book is final, and after reading that I had become expert of Dalit studies. So one should go with the others' writings as well. There are volumes on Dalit studies, volume by there is volume on readings on Dalit identity, and so many other texts. Thank you. And thank you for inviting.
Sudarshan?
It's been fascinating, and just to add to what Arvind and Kalyani said, the process is to learn continuously and make a conscious effort to bring out the voiceless. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We sincerely understand that, and efforts would be made to localize Dalit history, where we can pick up stories from 30 different states and UTs of India, so that India makes that conscious effort. Young scholars like this, once we start making that effort, state support would be inevitable. And rightly, Shyam sir pointed out, funding is essential, but that should not stop us from unraveling stories, unpacking these stories, and firmly footing them that these are the folks that cannot be relegated to the margins. India has to take concrete steps to remember them, while only if we understand the past, we can make sense of the present. With every book discussion, we have learned and unlearned. We want the book to be read. We want the book to be spoken about. We want the book to be criticized. We don't want to live in an echo chamber where everyone tells us that this is what you set out to do and this is what you've written. So thank you so much, CPR and Rahul, for this fascinating discussion. It gave us good insights. I will share these with Guru as well, so that we can improve from here.
Shyam sir?
It's a fascinating experience, as Amit said. I'm really happy that Sudarshan did not say that his aim is academic. He's not looking for laurels from academicians or degrees. This is about social change and outrage. That's a very important thing. But your challenge is much more daunting, to make it a really popular book. Not just, I'm talking about your future work. I'm sure we are going to continue. I hope you are going to continue in this area. The writing quality has to be exceptional. Your young people invest in that. You can't have a non-fiction book, a popular book, which raises so many questions of why this, why not this and that. Please focus on that. Great job.
Okay, before we close, I just want to thank everybody for joining and lively discussion. Rahul has asked me to at least we should try to clear his confusion. I will just say one line. I think don't read this book as makers of modern Dalit history. Don't think of the word Dalit at all. Read this book as a slice of Indian history. And if you read that book as a slice of Indian history, because these characters, these individuals shaped Indian history. So if you don't like the word caste and Dalit, and I completely understand, it's a book about Indian history. Read it and you will learn a lot. Thank you, everyone. This was a lovely discussion. Thank you, Sudarshan, for opening a line of inquiry and a line of thinking. And like for young students, tomorrow somebody should write a book on 15 women who were in the Constituent Assembly, right? And you could sort of like keep thinking about such topics, because what it will do, it will encourage students like Medha who are in high school to know more about our history. History is not boring facts. It's a lived experience. It is what is going to shape our present and future. With that, I close today's discussion. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Rahul.
Good evening.